Hey guys, this is Comely from Lol King here to bring you through the Assassin update for Rengar the Pride Stalker. First, let's take a look at Riot's goals for this rework. This set of changes hopes to add some tools to Rengar's hunting pattern, play up the excitement of his ferocity resource usage, and enhance the feeling of being the ultimate predator while at the same time providing more tactical counterplay for opponents. Besides E, most of the skills have been tweaked quite a bit, so let's go through his kit and see how they are trying to reach those goals. The passive is Unseen Predator. There are a bunch of changes to the passive that keep the spirit of the ability while changing a lot of the ways it works in practice. Right off the bat, the passive has several components to it. First off, let's take a look at the ferocity aspect of it, the resource used to empower abilities. The max stacks and stacks required for an empowered ability have been lowered from 5 to 4, but all ferocity stacks are lost instantly on leaving combat, which happens after 4 seconds of not dealing or taking damage. Abilities no longer need to damage an enemy in order to grant a stack, and now always grant one on ability use. This creates some situations where you might be in combat beating on a turret or something and can quickly prep your ferocity ahead of time. Empowered abilities in general also get an additional effect, giving 30, 40, and 50% movement speed for 1.5 seconds at level 1, 7, and 13 respectively. And again, it doesn't matter what ability you use, if it's empowered, it's going to give you that movement speed. Next are the tweaks to the leap. One of the previous effects of the now reworked Bone Tooth necklace was a 125 range increase in the leap, and that has now been made baseline. Additionally, leaping from out of combat generates 1 ferocity. This is super important because it means if you use your other 3 abilities, even if they happen to miss, you will get the 4 stacks needed to empower your next ability. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for an ability to come back off cooldown to get 4 stacks, and it can considerably delay your power and cost you that important movement speed buff to stick on the target you get when you use that empowered ability. Last little tweak here is that the leap will slightly offset Rengar from the target based on the direction he came from rather than plopping him right on top of the target. We aren't done yet because there is also the Bone Tooth necklace mechanic on his passive. You can scrap pretty much everything you know about the old one because we are starting fresh here. Rengar now has a Kindred-esque UI element that shows the 5 enemy champions. Each game you are looking to kill each champion at least once. The definition of kill is a bit flexible here, requiring you to damage them in the last second before their death, so it's less flexible than say an assist, but it doesn't require you to get the final blow. Once you manage to get that kill on a champion, you gain a stack and they are ineligible to give you another stack for the rest of the game and a grayed out on the little UI, so you can get 5 stacks total by killing each enemy player. The stacks behave much differently than the old ones. All the old bonuses have been removed. Now each stack gives you a flat and percentage bonus AD. I'll throw the current values in the screen, but keep in mind numbers are pretty likely to change during tuning. That is a lot of stuff to keep in mind with the passive, but once you get into the swing of things, it all fits together pretty easily. Now let's get into the active skills, starting with Savagery, his Q. It's still an auto attack resetting damage skill, but it has been redesigned. It now behaves like a skill shot rather than a targeted auto and slashes in an AoE arc and then pierces enemies in a forward line. If you cast it outside the range, the piercing attack will have a small forward lunge as well. The empowered effect of the ability ups the damage on it significantly. Altogether, it's a pretty straightforward skill. Next up is Battle Roar, his W. The AoE magic damage is still in place, but the auxiliary effects have been changed. The skill now heals for 50% of the damage he took in the last 1.5 seconds, and the empowered effect also removes crowd control and prevents new ones for 1.5 seconds. His health bar has a black bar representing the amount he would heal, and the damage healed from monster attacks is doubled. Empowered W could end up being a very important tool. Short CC immunity paired with the normal empowered movement speed could be a really big help in getting him into and out of dangerous situations, but the opportunity cost of big damage from Q and CC from E have to be carefully weighed before you use it. For the sake of completion, we can briefly touch on Bullish Strike, his E. If you aren't familiar, he throws out a bola, slowing and damaging the first enemy hit, with the empowered effect also rooting the target. The skill is fundamentally the same, and while it's receiving some number changes, those are subject to change throughout the development cycle, so just keep in mind it's pretty much the spell that you're used to. Last but not least is of course Rengar's ultimate, which is Thrill of the Hunt. There are a lot of changes to it that are really important to know before you go off and try to hunt some champions, so let's go through it. Rather than having full stealth, the ult now grants camouflage. If you are familiar with Eve's stealth mechanic, you've got a good picture of how it works. Move too close to an enemy champion and you're exposed, and True Vision will also leave him open for the world to see, so positioning is very important as you navigate your way in. Enola gives you movement speed or ferocity generation after ending, and it now only reveals the champion nearest to Rengar, and that champion is the only one that you can leap to unless you're using some kind of normal bush leap mechanic. The champion that is marked is revealed to both teams by a set of eyes over the target. That is a lot taken away from the skill, but it has some added benefits as well. It has a longer duration, more movement speed, and the fade time has been removed. Additionally, if you leap to that marked target nearest Rengar, you will receive a guaranteed critical strike. Overall, this is a very interesting change to the skill. The proximity-based detection means you can't run by the enemy team to get to their squishies, and because you can only target the closest target with a guaranteed crit leap, the positioning of both Rengar and the enemy team becomes incredibly important. Also, the increased duration and movement speed means that Rengar can use this to quickly get around the map and punish those who overextend or get greedy without proper protection, hopefully creating a real sense of hunting down your prey. So these are the changes to Rengar. Let's go back to the established goals for this rework. Do you think the changes will accomplish these goals? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more updates, guides, and content from LOL King.